Hi, I'm Travis,
And I'm Greg,
and you're listening to Building Blank.
a collaborative world building podcast.
Today, we're talking about villages.
What are they? Where do they go? And how big are they? So, Travis, we're talking about villages today.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. What's the first thing you think of when you think of a village?
So, when we talk about villages, we kind of need to know what a village is.
Yeah.
A lot of people might not know, but there are things that are smaller than villages, and I just want to quickly go over the size categories of settlements that we're going to be using. So the first size category is a thorp.
Love that word.
It's a cool word.
Yeah.
Usually, from the sources I have found are either between 20 and 80 or 20 and 49-ish people.
So, under 100.
Under 100. There's likely no businesses to speak of.
Yeah.
Or any kind of government. You're mostly looking at a community consisting of like one or two families.
Yeah. Because anything under 20 would just be one family, really.
Yeah.
Or potentially.
Yeah, exactly. Depending on the size. Again, you can put these anywhere. It's just a very small budding settlement. Next up the chain, we got a hamlet, which is anywhere, again, the two sources I found are anywhere between 80 and 400 or 50 and 200. I like the 50 to 200 range a little better. I feel like it's more realistic. You likely have 1 to 2 businesses and still no government of any kind.
Yeah.
The difference with a hamlet is you probably have several families living in this settlement. And then villages. So is the next up the chain, and this is what we're going to talk about mostly today. Again, the two sources I found go 400 to 900 or 200 to 2000. You do have a small business section. You have at least one government structure, whether that be an actual structure just like a mayor or a small council. And you have at least one religious building of some kind.
Yeah.
The other notes on villages I have is there's likely a communal marketplace. The village itself owns some kind of land. There's likely a place for caravans or other villagers to stay.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, just hearing you talk about that just makes me want to start world building.
Yeah.
You know, like having one religious building and one like mayor or small council. My mind's already just thinking about this little fictional village, you know, like a communal space where some caravans can come in, whether they be traveling folk or
merchants or
something.
There's
so much to work with there.
Yeah.
And then after village, just for the sake of categorization.
Yeah, I found another list here that has a small town listing between 901 to 2000.
Yeah.
I would say a small town or a large village are practically the same thing. So you have, again, the same small biz section. You have some sort of government. You have the religious base. The only difference I would put in the larger of these two would be some sort of law enforcement. So like a sheriff or a garrison of some kind.
Yeah. Which again, just makes me start thinking world building stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then from there, we go to large town, 2,000 to 5,000. And all of those sectors are expanded. More business, a larger form of government. You have a larger religious base and law enforcement and or garrison. And then all of that goes up from here.
So that was a large town.
And
after that comes the cities.
Yeah, you might have a small city from 5,000 to 12,000 or a large city from 12,000 to 25,000. And anything over 25,000, I would call a metropolis.
Yeah.
So we're not going to talk about the the larger of these settlements today. We're going to focus on villages and under.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing we need to think of is the location.
Yeah.
But for our purposes, as of now, we don't really have any location.
No,
specifically.
we don't right now. But generally, what you're gonna find is the reason a settlement pops up somewhere is because there has to be a reason, right?
Yeah.
You don't just pick a spot and start building, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be some reason. So we have, you might find a village in the forest. They're logging or farming, or for prairies, you're likely popping them up along the trade, like the routes.
Yeah, even in Manitoba here, a lot of these small towns are still
everything follows the river.
Well, but like they're a day of travel apart still.
Yeah,
they take like 20 minutes to drive now.
Yeah,
but yeah, it would have been like a day walk in between all these little towns, and so that's kind of.
But also, you got to think there might not necessarily be the same like road system in this kind of setting. So, a lot of the settlements in Manitoba follow the river, follow along the lake.
Yeah.
Because that's a faster mode of travel, right? Instead of going straight through the fields.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you see them popping up along the railway.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, which is really just to say like a trade route.
Yeah. However the trade routes work in your world is you're going to find villages along it.
Yeah,
more likely than not.
Maybe they don't have roads, so then it'd be down rivers and lake shores and oceans.
Yeah, isolated communities definitely have some form of. There's some way to get there, right?
Yeah,
most likely a river.
I mean, unless it is secluded, and then the reason the settlement's there is it's a holy site or something.
Yeah,
and then that's a different thing altogether.
But then even so, like if there was a holy site, say off in the middle of the woods, because it's getting villagers, there will end up being some form of route there.
Yeah.
Right. But whether that be water or a path cut through the forest or a road built.
Yeah. And then there's also the military or strategic reasons why it might be there. Yeah.
So I could totally see a village or a small town or a village popping up around a military installment.
Yeah.
Because again, like, they're military, but you need other things to support that.
For some reason, I just keep thinking of the beacons of Gondor.
Yeah.
Just up in the middle of the mountains, nowhere.
Up in nowhere.
Not saying that there's a village there. I know there isn't.
But we don't see it.
We don't see it, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, what if there is like a little thorpe?
Probably is.
At
least a small thorpe that is some kind of agriculture or something.
Maybe just a couple families that have always looked after the torches
soldiers,
there.
Yeah, exactly. Like people gotta eat, right?
Yeah. So even if it's just a little hunting village or something.
Yeah, exactly. There's got to be a reason for the village to be there. So a hunting village is a good example. A fishing village if you're on the coast.
Yeah.
A port, right?
Yeah, like a natural bay.
A natural harbor or something.
Yeah.
Usually end up turning into larger settlements rather than the small fishing village just off the coast somewhere.
Yeah, and then speaking of that kind of goes into resources, like maybe logging or mining.
Yeah.
Or just farming.
Exactly. So there might be iron in the hills. We might have a mining operation in a small town pop up, or a logging operation or something, right? It's got to be something.
Yeah. Or then like in a magic setting, it could be maybe the resource is magic or something.
Maybe it's where two ley lines cross and it's super magical, and or it's easier to.
Yeah, it kind of hits all three. It's like if that's a super magical place, it would probably be a holy site. the resource would be magic,
Mhm.
be strategic, and then
Yeah, you want to protect that resource, right?
yeah, and so it all kind of comes together. So that's kind of the good news, right? Like
Yeah.
I want a village here. I need a reason. And
Yeah.
then you just got a ton of reasons that you
Yeah.
can kind of retrofit if you need to.
Mhm.
Because that's the only reason I really build villages for my story, right?
Yeah.
I need something to happen in this spot. And then
Well, if you didn't need something to happen at that spot, there would be no village there,
yeah,
right?
like exactly why would there I wouldn't even need to talk about it. And then the other thing I always wonder, or that I really like, is naming.
Yeah.
But I do not have a constructed language.
No. Naming is fun. I find naming one of the hardest parts of world building.
Yeah.
And just in general, like naming people and things is the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
But we have a few ways to go about doing this. So most places are either named after somebody or for a feature.
Yeah.
Right? Like High Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even the size of the village.
Or the size of the village, right? Big Town.
Yeah. The naming, I don't know. I really like the naming. The problem I get hung up on is like the constructed language part. Like I feel like it should be all Tolkien-esque and have all this complex etymology.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people feel like that, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be because it's not like that in real life, right? Like,
But even still, like I don't mean necessarily complicated naming, but just if you name it Big Town, what's Big Town in another language?
yeah,
Is what I mean.
yeah.
But then the way I figured that you can explain that away is like you can just have like the common name for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, oh yeah, that they got their own name for it, but we just call it Big Town.
Yeah. I like Big Town.
Big Town.
Good. So another some examples. Name that I really like the convention where you name something that's named after somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Like in my world, you guys started off near Ainer's Hill.
Mhm.
Right? It's Ainer's Hill. It's simple. You know, Diana's Mill. Rorikstead, right?
Yeah. And then instead, isn't that normal for a village?
Usually for a village, yes.
As the suffix.
Yeah, there's some common suffixes that go along with some of these size categories. And I'm going to read them out. So with these suffixes, typically once they're named, they stick, even if they change size category, you typically change them unless the whole thing is a name change. So for Thorps, we're looking at suffixes that include Thorpe with an E, Porp, Dorf, and Dorp are very common ones. For Hamlet, you'll often see Heim, Ham, or Heem. And then villages, again, stead, place, ville, vale, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like Shire for villages too. That's a good one that I sometimes use if it's a farming area.
Yeah, like not just the Shire though.
No, like like when we did my Thanksgiving game, I called it Stillshire, was the village you came to.
Yeah, and it kind of really gives the naming or a meaning to the name. Like, just sounds kind of like a sleepy little town.
Yeah, which is exactly what it was.
Right, still.
Yeah.
Shire. So
exactly.
Yeah,
and you know your names can be simple like that, or as complicated as you want them to be. When doing my maps, I tend to err on the side of simple.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a major plot point. Right? Like the major cities might have a thought out name, but like any dot on the map that's just, you know, farming town A or logging village C.
Yeah.
We'll get in.
I was just going to say, I got a logging village. I just called it Woodsaw.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was inspired by Nassau. Nasa, but
yeah,
a town near where we grew up.
Yeah, exactly. Good
Not
fishing up there.
Yeah, not that that's a logging town.
No.
But and then what else are we going to talk about here?
So what are the characteristics of a village specifically?
Yeah.
So when we're talking about village, again, we're talking about a small, like a 200. I like to use the 200 to 2,000 range, and then split that up into small and large village. So you have some kind of government, whether that be a city council or not city council, but a small council or a mayor or something.
Yeah. So maybe if it's a little more kind of Viking-y, they might have like a long house.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends on your setting and your flavor. All of this can be reflavored, of course. So you have some form of government. You have some dedicated businesses that aren't just like a bunch of farmers, right? So you might have a blacksmith, whereas in a hamlet or Thorpe, you might not, right? You might have a blacksmith and a baker. You know, I like to, in this size category, at least in the smaller end, I like to have 3 somewhat businesses, one of which is almost always an inn.
Yeah.
Or tavern.
Inns are so important.
Yeah, because it is somewhere for visitors to stay. It's also a place for villagers to gather and, share information
and drink.
It's very important in a fantasy setting,
or in real life.
So I typically won't have an inn if it's a hamlet or a Thorpe, but I will in a village. Right, with a Thorpe having like maybe 1, maybe 2. Businesses, I'd probably put a blacksmith and like a miller or something, right? Maybe, but a village, definitely have an inn, probably have a blacksmith, probably have a baker, 3 to 5 more if you're on the larger end of villages / small towns.
Yeah, and then the religious aspect.
Yeah, there's definitely some kind of church or chapel or something here.
Yeah, you could do a lot with that too, because it could be, again, depending on the flavor, you could have anywhere from like a druidic sort of natural shrine, or like a tree or a grotto.
Yeah,
to working up to more like a temple.
Yeah,
kind of thing. To just straight like church.
Yeah, I wouldn't put anything larger than like a small chapel in this setting.
Yeah, I guess temple sounds pretty big.
Yeah, temple or cathedral I would reserve for a larger settlement. That's just me. I mean, of course you can do whatever you want. But I would stick to at most like a chapel or a small shrine, some kind of place to gather and worship whatever the people of this town worship.
And then I guess that's pretty much the overview. Like, we could talk about our own villages we've made.
Yeah. What are some interesting villages that you've made?
Well, the two that I'm kind of working on that would be village size are Woodsaw and Winterhaven.
Okay.
Winterhaven's up north, as it suggests. It's kind of a more like a fort. It's got the palisade walls, and then it's also the last point north where they would trade with the North people.
Okay.
So that's kind of why it's up there. So it was built as a fort to like mark the very edge of that part of the not the empire, but just the territory.
Okay.
And then also just like a trading post for furs and stuff,
Okay.
because there is more north from there.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, Woodsaw is on a crossroads, and Saw's Wood, and there ain't much there. It's just a tavern, pretty
Yeah.
much, an inn. How about you?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about, I got two here. So Diana's Mill is a village that's sprung up around a logging mill run by Diana. So they don't like really have a mayor, but she's like the de facto mayor.
Mm-hmm.
There is an inn, the mill, and a smithy. So we're on the smaller end of the villages here. There wasn't much. The other feature of Diana's Mill is it sits at the base of a mountain where there's a monastery up top.
Right.
So they send food and supplies up to the monastery in exchange for wine made from some of the berries picked on the mountain and other things that the monks make.
I can't remember. Was there a blacksmith in Diana's Mill?
There was. You guys never went to it.
Okay. And there was an inn. We did go there.
You did go to the inn, and there was the actual like mill itself. So again, it's on the smaller end. On the larger end, I have. Sorry. Oh, very burpy today. What did I call it? Sorry, I'm just looking through my notes here.
Which one are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of Craigspire Mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this one's a little bit bigger. It was in the desert.
Right.
It was a settlement settled by dwarves. So you go into this like rocky crag and then into like the mountain. Or it's not really a mountain.
Yeah.
It's
Well, it's a butte, isn't it?
yeah, it's a butte.
Like the old leftover core from a volcano.
Yeah, basically. So you go in and the entire village is inside of it and the mine being at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, and there was a temple for I say temple, it was more of a chapel. There was a general store, there was an inn, there was a smithy, there was there was a bunch of businesses.
And so that would kind of be outside the purview of village, if you're technically speaking.
It was getting to the
but
small town.
I would say
section.
since they're dwarves, it's kind of like the way I picture them.
Mm-hmm.
So I would feel like dwarves, no matter how small their settlement would be,
It's very industrious.
yeah, I mean that's just kind of their thing,
Yeah.
right? I mean that makes total sense to me.
Like it wasn't a very big, like there was only like a couple clans in here.
Yeah.
And they're an offshoot, like they're settlers from a larger Dwarven state that I had made. But that was the idea, was to have a smaller town / large village in place.
Yeah,
And there was a government structure. You guys never interacted with it, but there was like a clan leader and such.
yeah. This is actually really good. I like this outline because, like, right now my villages are really just sketches,
Mhm.
and I'm just focusing on finishing writing before I go back and because I want to just make sure my time's going
Yeah.
towards the story first. But yeah, no, this is good. Now I can think, okay, I need who's governing these towns. What kind of religious presence is there?
Mhm.
What are some of the small bizzes? Bizzes. You are biz on the notes there.
Yeah, I did.
So I was just, small businesses. But yeah. And then I think after the break here, we'll make one.
Yeah, we'll make a small village.
We'll kind of go through it. And then I think maybe we'll just like can it for later.
Yeah.
We'll just store it until we have a little more of a world to place it. And then we could like change it up again even.
Yeah.
But for now, we'll start building one.
And with that, I think we're going to take a short break. See you guys after. Welcome to the break.
Yeah, that was that first part there.
Yeah, that was, we got a lot done more.
I think more than we thought we would.
Yeah, we keep getting quicker at, and ending up, every time we record, we end up with more content in a quicker amount of time.
Yeah, which is good. Again, I guess we'll just talk about our podcast.
Yeah, so
since we don't have any sponsors yet or anything,
or any shout outs to make. So if you guys want to get a shout out, just let us know on our Facebook, Instagram, or our email. Building Blank Collaborative World Building Podcast for Facebook, Instagram at Building Blank Podcast, and email is, what's our email, Greg?
It's buildingblankpodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. So if you just want to say hi or have anything you want to add, or if we missed anything, let us know.
Yep. Yeah, and I guess that's basically it, right?
Yeah, that's I just wanted to let you all know how to get a hold of us. So yeah, thanks, and let's get back to the show. And we're back.
And we're going to talk about the polls, I guess, have come in.
So the polls are in. The polls are closed. And we got a couple here. You guys voted the second runner-up here is Coastal with 2 votes.
Wow, that's a lot of votes.
I know. The runner-up is Forest with 3 votes.
Nice.
And Mountain with 4.
The grand total.
Our total, yeah. That's between Facebook and Instagram. So we added both up together here. Poor Prairies, man. They didn't get anything.
Yeah. I'm assuming that anybody from Manitoba probably wouldn't have voted for the Prairies.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have.
No, the one I was going to pick was Mountains.
Yeah, so. that's I was going to pick Coastal, but let's do Mountains. All right. So Mountain Towns.
Mountain Towns. Yeah, and I think we said we were going to do a town and a human settlement, but I think now that it's mountains, and we were talking about villages.
Yeah. So what are you thinking, Greg?
Well, we'll just do a village instead.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, what we could do something maybe a little more different.
Like what do you mean different?
Like, well, instead of human, why don't we do a little dwarven settlement?
Dwarves.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little dwarf settlement.
Yeah.
Dwarven.
Yeah. Yeah. And assuming everybody knows what dwarven is.
Yeah.
If they're listening to us.
You probably know what a dwarf is at this point. All right. So dwarven settlement. Okay. So majority dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
I like to pepper in the odd gnome with dwarves because they're sometimes, mountain folk or forest folk, depending on the type of gnome and setting. I like to pepper in gnomes. Not a lot, but just like, a few here and there.
Yeah. So we're doing the location anyway.
Yeah.
So we're doing mountains, and then
they're in the mountains. They're probably mining.
Yeah. And I don't know, what temperature do you think? Because I mean, it doesn't really matter, but just for like a flavor.
Yeah, I like to think, whenever I think mountains, I think of a couple trips I took to the Rockies, where like go in summer it's like gorgeous, but then winter it's snow and ice and cold, right? So something like that.
So pretty temperate.
Yeah, pretty temperate.
And obviously cold.
Cold. And further up you go, it's colder. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we're not mountain experts here in Manitoba.
Yeah, living a couple prairie boys here talking about a mountain town.
Yeah, we got Riding Mountain, that anybody that lives near mountains would call a hill, probably.
Yeah, or like a bunny log or something.
A bunny log? What the heck's that?
I don't know. I wanted to say bunny hill, but then you said hill, so
Okay, I thought
Yeah.
that was an actual term.
No,
people
no,
use.
I just made it up.
I feel like we should maybe name it Bunny Log.
The Bunny Log Mine.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that Bunny Log. Okay, well, we don't have to necessarily name it that, but I'm just putting that down. Bunny Log. So we got our size, got a location more or
Yeah.
less. That's fairly movable, right? We're gonna
Yeah.
have mountains
We're gonna
in
have
this
mountains.
world at some point.
Let's make a mountain town. Yeah, let's make a mountain town. So we've got so with mountains is another nice play spot because you could also have forested outside, like at the base.
Yeah.
So there's probably a mine. There's probably some kind of logging
Yeah.
operation, which would be secondary, but still.
Yeah, and then depending on what we're gonna do there, like you're gonna need wood for the industry there,
Yeah.
right? Unless you're using magic or something.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you're mining, what are we mining? Are we mining, is it like a quarry? Or are we mining iron and like metals?
Well, I think since we're doing a village, it would have to be a pretty small scale operation, right?
Yeah.
And anything that would be really valuable, like a gold mine, would probably be a pretty big,
Yeah.
unless it was new.
Yeah. New. I want to say like just like iron, like standard metal work and some logging. So I imagine this village being on the edge of a mountain, not necessarily in the mountain with this one, but like an village with a mine. Village is directly outside of like where the mine is, and there's some logging going on to build the buildings. There's probably some sort of palisade or for lack of a better term, fence or a wall.
Yeah.
That's not like, like a yeah, I imagine like logs sticking up out of the ground, basically, like a log fence,
palisade, yeah,
like a palisade, yeah. I imagine it being, most of the people go into the mine. They work in the mine, but some of them are loggers, and there's a section of the population that are hunters. Right?
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you got to feed them.
Everyone needs to eat. There is probably a road coming to this place. I like to think that there would be an inn.
Yeah. Depending on how open the dwarven settlement is.
Well, I also imagine like they need to import some sort of food too. Like you can't just live on hunting.
Mm-hmm.
With this kind of scale, so they're probably importing grains and vegetables and such from outside.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a road, and there's got to be an inn for those merchants and traders to like sleep at overnight, come home, even if they're just shipping, like when they're coming back.
Yeah.
They still gotta stay somewhere.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Right.
I mean, they're iron. Like, how martial do you think they are? I guess it depends on how secluded this area is.
Yeah.
I mean, we already have a palisade, which kind of sounds like they're keeping something out.
Yeah. Probably just like more for wildlife, I would think. Because like you don't want a bear walking into your town.
It sounds like the beginning of a good joke there.
Bear walks into a town.
Yeah. So, okay, we got our size, 400 to 500 population.
Yeah.
So that's our size there, which would be, I don't know, are dwarven families big?
Could be.
It could be.
They're usually clan-based, depending on the setting.
Yeah.
So a clan could contain several families, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Typically, I like to name my dwarven settlements after, like the clan,
right,
or have something to do with the clan. So Clan Bunny Log.
Clan Bunny Log
is the governing body of this town, because we have some trade going in, we probably have some humans as well.
Yeah.
I would imagine humans probably do the hunting if they live here, hunting and trapping and such, or the trading. I would imagine dwarves mostly mine.
Yeah. Are we going to have dwarves living in the mountain as well?
I don't think so. Not for this. Not for this size. It's not till you get a little bigger, I think.
Yeah.
And the climate is temperate, so you don't really need to. Right? If it's in more extreme climate, I would, but it's not.
Yeah. What about our religious and our government? Do we need for a village, right? Or no?
Yeah. So I would say the governing body would be the clan. Whatever the clan elder or leader or however you want to do that structure would be the quote unquote mayor.
Yeah. Actually, just thinking about this now, like in fantasy, it's always like these huge dwarven strongholds.
They don't have to be though.
No, they don't.
Right.
It just makes me want to know more about it.
Yeah.
Why is there a small village, a dwarven village? You know, are they exiled? Are they break off from another
bigger
clan?
Probably. Honestly, it's probably a splinter off of a larger civilization.
But was it willing? You know,
we don't know yet.
I just think about Thorin, obviously.
Yeah.
And getting cast out by Smaug there, or Smaug.
Yeah,
however you pronounce it. Could be something like that. And since they are so industrious, like this is, I don't know. To me, it sounds like it's new, or they're not very prosperous.
Yeah, I like to think it's new.
Yeah,
a recent settlement.
Yes.
Or a recent find, like maybe they had a prospector, maybe someone was prospecting these mountains and they found something, a vein. Maybe there's not enough to dedicate a whole city to, but like small settlement, right?
Yeah, just when you said they found something, it sounded so ominous.
Yeah, they dug too deep and they found something.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I was thinking more like this could be like they were looking for something. Maybe some sort of artifact or something.
Maybe they were looking for something else and they found this.
Yeah.
Maybe the founder of this town or village was looking for some kind of artifact or was adventuring or something. And he was a dwarf and he found evidence of iron in these hills, in this mountain. So he called up some of his family and said, "Hey, get down here. We got to get mining."
Yeah.
And they formed a new settlement.
So the clan is Bunnylog. That's what we're going with, right?
That's what we're going with.
Okay.
It's ridiculous, I know.
No, I kind of like it.
I like it, though.
But is that the name of the village?
I would say with dwarves, I would probably put it to probably something along the lines of like Bunnylog Mine or Fort Bunnylog or...
Yeah, or the name of the mountains. Like, how common are these mountains now, that these fictional mountains we just invented? Like, I mean, are they already named?
Oh, I don't know yet.
You know,
do you want to name them?
We could. Yeah. I don't know how good I'll be able to do it on the spot, though. I mean, there's like the Iron Mountains, which I think is also in Tolkien. So, I mean, just to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
I don't think we should name it that, but
no.
I have a name that I kind of had saved for my world, but I don't know if I'm going to use it.
Okay.
And I thought it was a cool one, so let me see what you think, Travis.
Okay.
The Carapace Mountains.
I like that.
Because like the carapace is like the hard body of a
bug. Yeah.
Of a bug.
Yeah. So there's like some weird. I like to think that like this mountain range or this mountain, is called the Carapace Mountains because of some kind of like weird large bug insect monster that makes its home here. That's a cool idea too.
Maybe they like burrow through the mountains, and that's kind of what they're using as their mines to get in.
Okay.
Like I'm thinking like a giant centipede. now.
Okay. And then, I like this idea because then, like, as they're burrowing, they're probably eating whatever they're burrowing through, and then like shitting out like gems and shit.
Yeah, I guess they probably would.
Yeah.
And so that'd make it really dangerous, though.
Mm-hmm. Only the toughest dwarves are going into bunny log mines in the Carapace Mountains.
Yeah, I like it. Bunny log mine. Okay. I guess we'll have to figure out a name for those giant insects, but we can do that later.
Yeah, that's a later date.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So already we're kind of actually cooking along pretty good here.
Yeah. So our world now consists of a mountain, a forest of some kind, some giant bugs, and a dwarven clan called the Bunnylog clan.
Yeah. I don't know. It just like I feel like half of world building, maybe even more than half, is just problem solving.
Yeah.
It's kind of asking the right questions. Like that's basically all I'm doing, right? I'm just asking you questions.
We got all of that from like, where is it?
Yeah. But now my next question is let's just stick with the iron.
Okay.
I like that because now it makes me wonder, like, why are they here for iron? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But like in a good way, because now it means that I got to figure out a reason.
Because it's a resource that they can export.
But then that means that it would have to be like an in-demand resource, right?
Yeah.
Maybe nobody's mining these mountains because of the centipede
that
things.
Could be like these specific mountains are not being mined because of these crazy dangerous insects,
and so makes it much more expensive to have iron.
Yeah,
which kind of means that the surrounding area, you'd have to be really rich to have any iron at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
like any of these human settlements, maybe they're not even using iron.
Well,
I mean, like to a large degree.
Like you still got like tools and nails and stuff. Like it's very important. Like not even weapons. Like we're not even talking weapons. Just like farm tools, saws.
Yeah, true.
Axes.
I didn't mean like not using it, but just that it was more rare. But yeah, I guess that would make sense.
Like it's even if there's no shortage, it's still a valuable resource.
So that makes sense then. That,
you know, I'm sure there's smithy. Like this village has to have a smithy.
Yeah.
One, we have an inn, we have a smithy, we have a logging plant, we have some form of food processing. You know.
Yeah. When you were saying like that it was extruding gems, I was just thinking it could be leaving behind just like chunks of iron ore.
Yeah, that's more what I meant. I said gems. I meant like ore and stuff. And then of course, you go through and you find like the vein that it dug through. You start mining that way, right?
Yeah. And then that's also why they couldn't live in the mountain.
Yeah, probably because of these giant bugs.
Yeah, which is really creepy. I don't like that.
No.
I mean, I like it, but like, I don't.
Yeah.
Creeps me out.
I can tell.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I guess the last thing, well, we already went over government, right?
Yeah, it would be the clan itself, like the main clan.
I mean, I'm thinking this more like a business venture now.
Oh, it is.
So it's like business, clan, government, all kind of in one.
All kind of rolled up into one, which is probably what you're going to see a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well, especially with dwarves, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're just...
That's what they are.
Yeah,
right?
It's industrious. But now religious. According to our definition, it may have one religious fixture.
Yeah.
And I think I think we should put one in there.
Yeah.
Just so that we fit in this definition that we've given ourselves.
Yeah. So I don't want to like right now in this episode world build a religion.
No.
But like we could just say there's a chapel. You know, a small place of worship to whatever local gods they have. God or gods. Probably one of industry.
Oh, I just had an idea. What if the people around this area think of the insects kind of like in a god sort of way, or somebody does? not necessarily dwarves.
That's a good idea. I think we should save that for another episode
Yeah.
to explore.
Yeah. Okay.
That seems like more of a tribal type. Like there might be like orcs in them hills that worship these giant centipedes.
Well, because the cool thing about those centipedes that we just made is that they wouldn't have to refine the ore, right?
No.
Like if it came out in one big chunk like that, then you wouldn't have to have like the whole process of mining. You just have to have it like adventurers go in.
Well, I mean, they still mine because it's not like they're getting the whole vein.
No, I mean like not the dwarves themselves, but like up to that point.
Oh,
maybe,
yeah.
Maybe that's how they'd been getting their iron.
Yeah, it's just way more dangerous.
And then that's why they could be like worshiping them.
And they probably have some kind of garrison, like to keep the bugs away, right?
Yeah, they'd have to close up the mine at night.
Yeah.
Or well, when they're not in there. So it's a thing, like a lot of those centipedes and stuff are night crawlers.
Mm-hmm.
So
when you're living underground like that, I don't think it matters what the time of day it is.
No, but like they wouldn't come out during the day if the doors were open.
Oh, yeah. I know.
But then at night, you'd want to make sure those were closed.
Yeah, and heavily guarded and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good start. And I think next time we will take our bunny log mine and start building some of the businesses that are in town.
Yeah.
So
maybe get some of the clans. I mean, we got the ones
and stuff. Yeah.
But yeah.
Some of the major characters and points of interest.
Yeah. And again, if anybody has any ideas, send them in and, we can talk about them, about this bunny log mine.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have any suggestions or comments or anything like that. But now we're going to move on and we are going to talk about our weekly inspiration.
Yep.
So, Greg, what was your weekly inspiration this week?
Well, I've been thinking about this all day, all week, as the ideas came to me. And I had a few different ones, but just to kind of keep it simple, I'm going to go with one from some Canadian history here. During the fur trade, there were a lot of places that were named factory, like York Factory, and that's the one that comes to my mind. But they weren't named factory as a factory as we know it today, like producing something or anything like that. It was they were called factories because the person in charge of that area or that settlement was called the chief factor.
Okay.
And then so it was a factory.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking of putting that in my world.
That's cool.
Just because I write what you know, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. And I never knew that before.
That's cool. That's really cool.
And so I think it's just like kind of a form of government, I guess, right? You'd have that chief factor. Also, factor just sounds really cool. I don't know, to me. And then that would be part of the name. It'd be something factory.
That's cool.
But yeah, so that's my weekly inspiration I'm going with.
Awesome.
How about you there?
Well, I was in another game, like a D&D game that run by someone else, and I may have had to change characters. I didn't have to, but it got me thinking about what I wanted to be, and I couldn't decide. I had two options that were vastly different. And then because I was thinking about which one of these I wanted to do, I thought about, well, why don't I make both these characters anyway?
Yeah.
And like do a short story.
Yeah, that's like the best thing about world building is like you can just have a new idea and you're like, I can't use it right now, but I'm just going to put it in my world.
Yeah, exactly. So there's two characters that I am going to make who are siblings. I haven't decided, like, I really like the idea of them being twins, but like fraternal and looking completely different.
Yep.
And one's like a big brute and the other is like a silver-tongued, lathe silver-tongued, I don't want to say con man, but like, that type.
Yeah, well, con man just means confidence man.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm going to, I think, work on a short story involving these two characters and pop them in my world, or this one maybe.
Yeah. And so were they just going to be like human guys or? No,
I was going to use, because we're playing D&D, so I was going to use a Dragonborn.
Yeah.
Because
Which is Dragonborn, just for anybody who doesn't know, maybe.
is like they're like draconic humanoids.
Yeah.
Mostly because in the game our party is called the Lizards of the Coast because every player, we didn't know what we were making. We all picked like a reptile race. Like we have a turtle, a lizard folk, a dragonborn, and Yanti, which is like a snake person.
Yeah.
So it was hilarious, and I think someone made the joke, and we stuck with it. So I was going to keep that up, right?
Yeah.
But
And the joke, Lizards of the Coast.
it's based on the publisher of Dungeons and Dragons. It's called Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah. And then turtles are
Like turtle humanoids.
Yeah. Fairly easy to put together there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now you got these two guys, and that's the thing, right? You got to start asking questions.
Yeah. I got to figure out where they fit, who they are,
Where they come from.
yeah,
And,
you know, how they work together. So yeah, I got some work ahead of me, I think, this week.
yeah, I feel like so much of world building is the characters too,
It's part of it.
because it kind of gives you that in a point of view to look at the world through their eyes.
And definitely like makes it feel a lot more filled in.
Yeah, kind of lived in.
Yeah.
No, I like that. That's cool. But I guess that kind of brings us to the end of the show then.
That's pretty much it for today. Before we go, I do want to thank everybody for listening.
Yeah.
And I want to say, if you guys want to get a hold of us for any reason, if you want to contribute to Bunny Log Mine, if you have ideas for characters or NPCs or shops, what kind of shops do you think we should have included? Let us know. Our Facebook is Building Blank, a collaborative world building podcast, or you can hit us up on Instagram at Building Blank Podcast, or you can send us an email at buildingblankpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, even if you just want to say hi.
Yeah, just say hi. We'd love to meet you.
Yeah, I guess that's a wrap.
That's the